Big Ten athletic directors have to change the overall rules as to who advances to the Big Ten playoff, Big Ten championship game. And what has to happen there is they initially said you have to play 6 games. Now they would have to bump it back down to 5 or whatever number they want to assess it as. And let's just kind of toss that out there. If I'm Indiana and I would otherwise be the team that goes to the Big Ten championship game, how often is Indiana ever going to be in the Big Ten championship game? Would you change the rule? Would you vote to change the rule if you were Indiana? I wouldn't. I'm going to be straightforward with you. If I'm the Indiana athletic director, we have played under an understood set of rules all season long, and our team would be going to the Big Ten championship game as a result of the rules as they were placed on us before the season started. And suddenly at the end of the year, you're going to come back to us and say, no, we're changing the rules now. I 100% would not vote for the rules to change because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how often you would ever end up in a situation where Indiana is potentially in the Big Ten championship game. I mean, think about it. Michigan not there, Penn State not there, Ohio State not there. How often, if you're Indiana, do you ever get the possibility to play in the Big Ten title game? And do you think and not only play in it, have a decent chance to win it because you're playing Northwestern? Do you think that Indiana would consider this to be a cheap Big Ten football title? Are you kidding me? You're Indiana. There's no such thing as a cheap Big Ten football title. When has Indiana ever won the Big Ten title before? I mean, I'm betting the answer is no. I'm going to look it up right now quickly. But how many allies and assets could Indiana and other schools like Indiana have among the athletic directors? And also, how many people has the Ohio State sort of industrial complex angered over the years? Because remember, I mean, basically, if they are saying these rules are changed, they're doing whatever it takes for Ohio State to be able to basically advance. Look, Indiana, I'm looking at right now. They have won 2 Big Ten titles in 1945 and in 1967. How many times in the next 20 years is Indiana going to play for a Big Ten championship of any type? Ever again? I mean, I don't think it's crazy to say in the next 20 years, the next generation, it's unlikely that Indiana will play for a Big Ten title. How about the next 40 years? Imagine if you are the Indiana athletic director, how would you respond to this? So we'll see if they change the rules. But for people out there who are saying, oh, well, Ohio State's not allowed to play an out-of-conference game, they wouldn't change the rule for Nebraska. Well, this is kind of a break-the-glass scenario. Nebraska was right. They should have been able to play out-of-conference games. The Pac-12, to their credit, went and changed their rules to allow non-conference games to be played if there were a possibility. If Ohio State wanted to play Texas A&M, I think the Big Ten would figure out a way to get it done. And to me, that's a solution without having to change the Big Ten title rules, right? Because really, does anybody care about seeing Ohio State play Northwestern? Is that suddenly going to tell you something about Ohio State that you haven't already seen this year in the Big Ten? What would tell you something about Ohio State is having them play a big-time championship caliber team in Texas A&M from the SEC outside of their conference schedule. We would learn way more about Ohio State in seeing them play against Texas A&M than we would changing the rules so they could play Northwestern in the Big Ten title game.
How many votes would be needed to change that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a simple majority or I don't know if there is some sort of more substantial majority. I don't have the Big Ten bylaws in front of me, and I haven't read from anybody. One of you guys can try to look that up and see if it's public anywhere, but I haven't heard exactly how many people, whether it's in a 14-team conference, all they need is 8 votes, which would obviously be a majority. 8 people would have to vote to change it, or is it a more substantial number than that? Remember, back when they decided to cancel the season in order to change the rule, there was a different number of votes that you needed. It was, I think, a majority in order to change things, but maybe to reverse that rule, it required more than a majority. So it's a good question, and I don't know the answer there. Are the votes there to change the rules to benefit Ohio State? And the athletic directors have the power to change those rules. I'm not sure whether the votes are there or not, candidly. And I was saying earlier, if I'm Indiana and we've only won 2 Big Ten championships in football in our entire history, I want to play in the Big Ten championship game because I'm not sure how often we'll ever be in that position. And so I would vote against changing the rules if I am Indiana's athletic director. Well, if you're Northwestern's athletic director, would you vote against changing the rules because you're Northwestern and you want to win a Big Ten championship, and it's easier to win a Big Ten championship against Indiana than it is against Ohio State? Are there teams out there that have resentments against Ohio State in general? I don't know the answer, but I do think it's intriguing as you try to lay out the parameters of whether or not the rules should be changed. Remember, there are some teams that are benefiting from the rules as they are, and I can certainly see an argument if I'm the Indiana athletic director to say, wait a minute, you want to change the rules now on my team when we have fulfilled all of the requirements that the athletic directors put in place before the season started, and now you're saying, oh, this is unfortunate for Ohio State, so let's change the rules to benefit them. I'm not voting that way if I'm the Indiana athletic director.